Right, I'm back. Your man, Greg, otherwise known as the Woofafa in the server, bringing you on your airwaves SimNet Super Sprint Sunday from FRL's roster of fantastic racing online, sim racing at its very best. And along for the ride, he had you all to himself last week, but he joins me again in the commentary box, Mr. Jack Prentice, bringing you the expert side of the driving experience.
High praise indeed. Good evening and welcome back. Glad you're feeling a lot better. What a race it promises to be. What a couple of races it promises to be. With, I mean, look, you take Revueler now. He's obviously in a world of his own at this moment in time. But just look how close it is from second all the way down. No, Adam Sharp has just gone, you know, a mile clear of up to Hyman's, isn't he? About a tenth and a half ahead.
Yeah, we just said before the shoot, admiring the staggering, weren't we? The stagger is absolutely incredible.
Yeah, it's crazy, and hopefully that continues this way. But rather than talk to you about the staggers, if you don't mind, I'm going to head for the standings from last week. Obviously, really entertaining evenings racing in Austria at the Red Bull Ring, and we're going to say what happens here. We're going to see exactly how that's affected the championships. 3 championships plus an overall. Going to take you through the AM championships now, where Jochen Verret in the Audi, no less, had a really strong showing. 2 mid-grid finishes to take victory in AM. He's got one win and 1 third position. He's on 28 points. He's 3 clear of Trevor Mendes in the McLaren for this season, past 76 on 25, and therefore 4 further points clear of Dreadlock Steve, where he's on 21, as well as Miguel Silva. Dreadlock Steve won the second race, and it was a really mature drive from him, not getting involved in any of the quicker cars. Miguel Silva, who is, I can't see, mind you, it's 40 cars. He is, he's down 28. Miguel Silva is in 4th position, ahead of Michael Coppins on 20 points, with Ian Kruger a further point back in 6th. So 6th, only 2 points off of a bronze medal this early in the season. Danny Felix is in 7th on 17 points in the Bentley, ahead of Nicky Vates in 16th in the Bentley Continental. So 2 Bentleys to round out the top 8. David Foss is 9th, ahead of Jamie Thacker in the Ferrari 296, with Herrick Smates in 11th, ahead of Darren Davies, the commentary OG, in 12th in the Ford Mustang. Paolo Flores is 13th, ahead of Darren Townsend on -5 points. So the Sheffield Wednesday of the AM series so far. In silver class, and it's Marco LaBruche to me leading the way there, the Canadian, who has been bemoaning his luck. He's currently 3rd in practice. I expect him to go really well here, and an excellent showing on Thursday night as well, if you didn't see that. He is 3 points clear of Marco Lino in the Ferrari, further 2 points clear of Steve Desert in the Ferrari. Michal Chumakovs is in 4th, a point off of Desert, ahead of last season's AM champion Alexander Kalugin in the McLaren for this season. He's 1 point clear of Renard Serfontaine in 6th in the Ferrari, with Lee Colpitts in 7th. Luckless really last time out on 18 points. He's a point clear of Serafino Gabino in the Ferrari, with Michael van der Waal in 9th to round out the scorers of this of last week, because Silver was quite depleted. You've still got Maximilian Morneveg, Chris Getman, Nikita Chepsov and Alexei Yablonsky, among others, to appear in the championship. We're going to go to the Pro just before they all start a qualifying lap. Now, a reminder for the qualifying session, just before we get this out, that they are only allowed to do 1 flying lap, and a lot of them are going out early, aren't they? So, to talk you through the Pro Championship before we hand back over to Greg, Morgan Grace leads on 26 points. He's 5 clear. The fast lap Pospisil in 2nd place. Jay Wazza is in 3rd, ahead of Francis Hyman in 4th on 19 points, a point off of Jay Wazza in 3rd position. Jake Hanley is 5th, ahead of Josh Clayton. They're level on 18 points. It's only alphabetical order that separates them, with Andrew Eden also on 18 points, with Gordon Brown in 8th on 18 points. So very congested midfield. Johnny Sharp is in 9th to complete the scorers, with Chad Vermeulen, who's at the top, Paul Vidler, Fabio Travaglioli and Scott Dunn yet to appear. There's a couple of reserves here, including Adam Sharp and Dale Kelleher, amongst many others. I think you've got Gavin Chevron-Moore, and if I was to talk about them all the way through, then I think we'll probably go into the qualifying session laps. So we can hopefully see a couple of drivers about to start their lap. I think there's I think who's the furthest now? I think it's car number 2, which is Michael Brusciulli. Yeah, really impressive around this track on Thursday night, so I expect good things from him as well, notwithstanding the fact he's just gone third quickest in practice. So, yeah, really been impressed by the Canadian driver so far this season.
So, yeah, obviously we were speaking before for the stream. It's absolutely criminal. This man's in Pro-Am, but we expect big things. So with high expectations, we expect a good show and a good lap from Mr. Brusciulli. One-shot qualifying commences. We have 1 lap to set all things in place. If they try and set another, they will receive penalties communicated via the server. Drivers will choose different sections of this qualifying session for their 15 minutes to come out and set their lap, as we catch Brusciulli kissing and caressing the apexes of turns 2 and 3. Many different lines can be taken for the highly banked turn 3. But out it comes, a relatively singular line through the S section of 4, 5 and 6. As you then dip down through 7, spot your braking, ever so feather the throttle back on. You don't want to get too close, there's a horrible dip that will catch you out, drag your car in. Now carry as much speed as you can through turn 8. Almost blind braking out here, you want to brake out, no real markers of references on the left hand side, and then carry as much speed around here. As he does carry a little bit too much speed, has to correct, and then comes around the infamous turn 10. Oh, bit of a big rear snap, uses some of the grass, I think he's still valid. Comes down the back straight towards turn 11. Now you can clip that curve quite heavily, but he chose to avoid it. Like threading the eye of a needle. Now pick up the power. You want as much power as possible, then shed as little as possible as you flash through turn 13. Pick your time to get back on the throttle. I think there's a little Marshall post on the right hand side that you should, when I put it down, I bet Jack's much earlier than I am. But here comes the Porsche with fantastic traction. Comes towards the line and is going to set an early pace of 1:36.5. Absolutely agree, Mr. Brown.
Yeah, not sure he'll be too pleased with that lap time, but he's quick enough to come through in the race, certainly in race number 2, with Fates going slightly slower. I will say that the winner from last week, the double winner, the reserve, that's El Fadawi, has joined the lobby and he's out on track. He's car 998, so watch for him. I expect to see a clash of the titans between himself and Vermeulen as they go, because he was in fine Vettel as the evening wore on last week.
As we have Banff slotting himself just behind the Pro-Am driver Brusciulli in Pro, highest of Pro at the moment, half a second down on Brusciulli's competitor in the almost Golf McLaren. Others coming around, we've got car number 2.
That's 76, I think, next over the line, but go down almost 40 drivers to go and find him. Trevor Mendes about to start a lap time, so I think the next one over the line is car 985, which is Danny Felix in at 25th. So in the Bentley, he's next across the line. Let's see what happens there. I think Brusciulli has to come into the pits. He's car number 2. He's next around, so he has to come into the pits to be able to qualify. Doing us dirty.
He's still technically valid.
Here's Felix across the line now. Where's this going to put the Bentley? If it's going to put the Bentley, and he goes. He doesn't go. Of course he doesn't. He's now on a lap. So I think Alpha Dowie's on an out lap, so it's car 36. So I think it's Coppens. He's set a lap time already. There's a lot of the amps getting their work done early enough. So it's car 84, which is Flores. Paolo Flores in the McLaren is the next one to watch for.
Here we go. That's a colourful car. I haven't ever seen one. And he just seems to be definitely pushing. No hesitancy on the push round the bend.
Yeah, it doesn't take that much track, does it? I wonder what this lap time will be. It'll be... Well, it's 9th. It's 3.5 seconds off the pace, and that's about where his pace has been through the opening knockings of the season. It's Chris Gebben across the line. I think is just going to go across the line in 8th. Gate told us he was on an out lap.
But here is the lap that everybody wants to see. Mr. Jazzman Jared Vermeulen, the man who has been haunting FRL front rows for several years now, gone camo, hiding amongst the grass, looking to be stealthy and slip this lap time in underneath the cover of darkness. But here he goes, or no drama on the rear whatsoever coming around turn 3. looks so calm. It's almost like he's on an outlap, but we know he's moving and shifting fast.
Yeah, he's got so much control in that Ferrari, hasn't he? He's got so much pace and poise in it that it all looks actually rather effortless. We'll just say that I'll keep an eye on Alpha Dowie, who's about to set his lap time as he's just going around the final corner. You stay with me, and I'll update as and when he does cross the line.
So, yeah, Joe Mullen, key part of the lap for him now, coming onto the back straight. That's one of the tighter lines you saw earlier. Bruce Tully getting caught out, going wide, taking some of the gravel with him. But no such drama for Jared Vermeulen.
Alpha Dowie second on a 1 minute 36.9, so I think the track might actually be a bit slower, and the time from Bruce Tully a little bit better than I gave him credit for. We'll see now Vermeulen crossing the line. He'll see whether that theory holds true.
So yeah, this is be a big show of where the track's at the moment. We always expect Vermeulen to be somewhere tickling the top positions, and he definitely has used a bit more of his tyres up in that final turn. We expect to be top by how much? Half a second to Bruce Tully. So I think there's still time in this lap, you know, Jack.
I think that's 1.5 seconds slower than he set earlier on. Now, I know the track's fast rather than optimum, but yeah, that track giving up nowhere near as much grip as before. We've got car 187 crossing the line. That's David Fass in the McLaren, and he goes fourth. Good lap time there.
So the AM's choosing the right time to come out.
Yeah, it's getting amongst some pros as well, fast there. I haven't shown this pace previously, but that is a cracking lap time. Car 44 is Vian Kruger now crossing the line. Where's this going to put him? It's going to put him up to 13, 3 seconds off the pace, and that is a solid lap time from himself there. Drops to 14th almost immediately there. Scaven Cherry Moore is over the line as well. Who's next?
So I go back on board with Wazza, who's going to the final sector now, using the additional suspension of the Bentley to take a lot of curb on the inside, then has to collect it as he comes out of turn 12. But this is where the Bentley comes into its own, plants the power. Oh, what a catch that is! Almost a four-wheel drift coming around turn 13, but he's collected it up, and the power of the Bentley will compensate. And where's he going to go? I think that's actually him just starting his lap.
He isn't. ACC's done us dirty once again. Here is another driver, that's Marcolina. He's also starting his lap time as opposed to completing. So I think it's car 51 next. And car 51 is Desert, who's all the way down in 37th. I say all the way down, he hasn't set a lap time. Still plenty of running to go with only 5 minutes to go. Only half the grid actually set a time, so I wonder if some have come cropper to the track limits.
As Jazzman drops into the comments saying he's left the door open, I can't help but agree. If this track ramps up at all, he could really be suffering. I reckon there's at least 5 drivers that usually try and challenge the rear of Vermeulen, so if they're up for the hunt, as Desert does not set a lap time, we've got car 14 approaching, it does seem to be on a lap.
Now Dale Kelleher crossing the line. I think that's an outlap. It is same with, I think, Marshall just behind car number 23, Jordan Marshall in the Mercedes, as well as
just picked up Grace in the tennis ball bright green heading towards the line. How the Porsche do, it's a heavy traction track. Where can he put himself?
Not yet.
Not me dirty.
The game's doing the starter. His Richings across the line. Is this going to be a lap time for the purple and pink Panther Ferrari? Where's this going to put him? Still nowhere, but here's Wazza. He's across the line in 4th. So we got somewhere. Owen Townsend's just crossing the line now, and I think car 68 is just about to finish. That's Marco Lino. Where does that go for Marco Lino? Up into 9th place. Good solid effort from the Italian driver there. And I think now we can finally get a break to try and find someone completing a lap time.
This is Desert again. So we caught him going past once. Here's his second pass. There should definitely be a lap. Whether it's fast, whether it's slow, we won't know until the line comes. But this is probably one of the best decorated Ferraris I've seen, actually paying homage to Ferrari colours. Can he bring Ferrari glory as he comes around the final turn? It's a relatively short run, but he keeps us waiting. And he goes...
Up into 3rd, eventually, when it did get there. Good lap time there from Stein Desert. Excellent lap time there from the Dutchman. We've got Jordan Marshall, car number 23. I think Dale Keller has had to have fourth in the AM class, car number 89, as he's no longer on the circuit. Here's Marshall across the line. Look for car 37, which is sharp.
But I think it's just invalidated on the final turn. It'd be interesting if he's actually managed to keep this one. That was wide of the track as he came to the final turn. Only P3.
Well, he rescues it there, but he'll have nightmares about Tully, because it was Tully who was stuck behind on Thursday night. Morgan Grace goes in fourth position. Good lap time from the Porsche there. So Porsche second and fourth at this moment in time. Car 104.
That's Richings. Here he goes again.
Luke Richings, not Liam. He's going up into 18. 2.3 seconds off the pace. So solid midfield run. Darren Townsend, kind of a 9. Now across the line. Was 28th. Where is this?
P13. 13th. Great showing. Well amongst his competitors. Car 717 approaching the line. Hyman's fast in practice.
And still
just starting his lap. And car 51 does seem to be on a lap. It's coming towards the line.
It's 94, I think, is Lee Colpitts, because I did see him start his lap time, even if he's not telling us anything, but I don't know whether or not he's completed it or not, but he did see him starting lap time. It's down to 31st as it goes over to the line. I think this is a legitimate lap time from Lee Colpitts. Where's this going to put him? And it puts him 10th, so he's in amongst the top end of the silver drivers, ahead of a glut, really, of AM drivers. So AM showing up really well around Zandvoort here today.
Now, Serpentine, who never changes his car, never changes his number, is just starting his lap.
Yep, not changing his position either. I think the next one is Andrew Eden. We're down to 35th at the moment. We're just sort of cycling through, aren't we? To try and see if there's anybody around to set a lap time. About 334 is Alexander Glurigan. I'll keep an eye on him, and you can take us through the end, hopefully, of Andrew Eden's lap.
Yeah, just one corner to go with Andrew Eden. The Lexus is a bit of a demon on the straight, but he's got to keep it flat through the corner if he's going to find speed by the end of it. Towards the line he goes. Yellow flags, green flags are waving.
He's starting his lap. But Kalugin also not setting a time there as it is at the moment. But love it, haven't you? Car number 8.
Oh, and Vereth goes drifting off the final turn. Kicks up a lot of dust to the next car. No lap time for Vereth yet, though he's just started, and that will affect his lap.
Hyman's crossing the line. Where's this going to be? 5th. So his pace translates into qualifying. But 5th place is slightly lower than what the Dutchman would have been expecting, I would have thought.
So Jasmine was saying that he'd left the door open. So far, nobody has stepped through it. Got Gordon Brown in a very excitedly coloured Lamborghini. Lamborghini should be strong around here. And is on to start his lap.
Of course. Right, so it's car 215 next across. That's Renard Serpentine to finish his lap time. We know it's finishing his lap time. The Red Bull Ferrari. Where is this going to go? Pedal to the metal now. Where's this going to be? Car P6.
P6, very good for the Franz Hermann wannabe.
So, yeah, I think that's second in silver. Ahead of a couple of silvers, isn't it? You've got Chubakovs and you've got Dessert there. So, yeah, really solid showing there. Who's car 34?
That's his Popsil in the Porsche.
Shield in the Porsche.
And he's starting a lap.
Of course he is. Right, 884 is Andrew Eden. He's definitely finishing.
So, here he goes. Much more planted around the final bend than he was on starting the lap. Head towards the line. We expect this to be good. P7, right amongst it. And that was Kalugin.
Kalugin 13th. Good lap time there from the man stepping up a class. Is Vereth now across the line. Picking the tail out once again in the Audi. Winner last time out. Where's this going to be? 24th. So, really disappointed with that. He's behind a couple of AM drivers, about 4 or 5 actually, which is not quite the pace he showed last week. But the Audi driver has shown he can be upwardly mobile in races, so I expect that to be the case here. Here's Gordon Brown across the line, Greg.
Yeah, Gordon Brown coming, followed by Hanley, not too far behind. Brown taking a bit of curving on the exit. Just kicked up for Hanley. And he goes... 7th. Great showing. And what about Handley?
19th for Jake Handley there in the Mustang. Not really a Mustang track, so he's doing well. He's bringing a knife to a gunfight there, Handley, around this track.
Last car to go. Was it Poppersil? He's got 2 more corners. Got 2 more corners to negotiate. The last pro driver to challenge the pro pole from Jared Vermeulen. He's got 6/10 gap on his competitors, but what can Pospisil do? Heads towards the line. And P3!
Yes.
Well, that's a great showing. Bruce Tully sandbagging in the Pro-Am tier, claiming from the first lap all the way to the end, P2 position. 1 and 2 cars, 1 and 2 places.
Be interesting as well to see whether Bruce Tully has a go at Jared Vermeulen, because going into turn number 1, because there isn't. It's not just your class that you're going for, also going for overall honours. And Porsche is very quick off the line, so it's not going to be cut and dry that Vermeulen will be leading into the first corner, because the Ferrari obviously not quite as powerful, or not necessarily not quite as powerful, but not quite as good on acceleration. So the Porsche might just have a bit of an advantage with Bruce Tully and Pospisil behind directly behind Vermeulen. You've got then Adam Sharp in the Honda, no slouch in terms of acceleration anyway. So yeah, could be a couple of problems for Vermeulen in the Ferrari if he does fall behind one of those drivers behind who've got superior traction.
Yeah, I mean, it's just looking at that top 10 of the grid, just so many high traction mobiles in there. And I think if they actually get clean air, they will very much run away from those that are very power dependent. As we try and pick out the battles that are here, FaZe actually puts a good amount of positions between him and the 2 that are chasing him, Mendes and Wheats in P18 and 19, amongst the Pro-Am tier. Bruce Tully, massive gap between him and Serfontaine, but it's whether or not those pro drivers will dispatch him with quick order. But with the gap that he's found, with the time that he's found to put himself in P2, won't bet against him just yet.
5 drivers failed to set a lap time. Van der Waal, Trotman, Dreadlock Steve, who was winner last time out in the AM class.
Oh my goodness, and we've got rain.
Now, bit of a dilemma for the drivers here, because you can see that whilst the track is wet and it is absolutely hotting it down, it's going to be dry within 5 minutes. Now, 3 of those minutes are going to be taken up by the time allowed that's going to help you set your car up. So I suspect that maybe if you're Vidler, who's down the back in the pro class, you might put dries on and see if you can come through the field. Joachim Barrett is another one who's disconnected and come back in. He's another one that might actually elect to go for dry tyres. But if you're in the lead, you can't really risk it. Not unless you've not got a championship position to fight for with, like, maybe through Adam Sharp, who's a reserve for this weekend. He might gamble. He might put some dries on. But if you're one of the lead 3 who's actually in the server, can you really afford to gamble? I don't think you can. So that's something for those to think of. That's certainly an extra layer to the race. But if it was myself, I'd be putting dry tyres on and just have a go.
Yeah, I think with the sprint format, with the inability to really undo the mistakes like that and change the tyres should it all go wrong, you want to be in the fastest possible position. So the dry tyre is absolutely key to a strong race here, I think. Obviously, it will come down as well to how quickly the track dries up. Track temperature is moderate, 14 to 19 degrees, but relatively cold, but should be enough to run the dry tyres on once the rain dissipates. But we are in for a very interesting first corner.
I think Vermeulen and possibly Bruce Tully and Pospisil, for example, they'll probably want to put the wet tyres on, see if they can be away and gone. But drivers who, as I say, haven't really got a dog in the fight in terms of the championship, like your Sharps, for example, maybe even, D-Set and Eden, for example, or an El Fidawi, who we talked up prior to coming on air, you might as well gamble, because it might be that you suffer for a bit, bring your tyre pressures up, and then it just depends. With 40 cars effectively drying the track out every 90 seconds or so, might well be that actually, you might be able to dry just that bit quicker, and hopefully then there might be a dry line coming, and it might prove to pay dividends. But if you're at the lead of any of your classes, you can't really take that risk. I would, because I'm never going to be at the lead, and certainly from my position in the championship, if I was driving, I'd probably take the risk. But if you're a lead driver like a Vermeulen or a Bruce Tully, for example, it's not really something you can do.
So another thing to really recognise here, if stuff goes wrong, which it quite is likely to with massively crossover conditions, we may end up with a scenario with a lot of lap cars in place, despite the shortness of the track, potentially with damage, with spins, with potential stress pit scenarios. There's a big chance for a lot of field spread here, as we see Joey Vermeulen really kick up the spray as he powers off his blocks. Now, fortunately for him, he will have clear air going into the first turn, but it's whether or not we get a cascading effect from all drivers behind those potentially on alternative tyre sets, as we already see drivers further back that look like one of the Ferraris, Wouter Heymans maybe, just trying to get a little bit of space, a little bit of visibility. But, oh, this is a stressful start. Visibility in the mid-pack will not be easy, but they know where the braking zone is. It's not too far away. 2 by 2 they go. Lights out in about 3, 2, 1. Here we go. Joey Vermeulen immediately goes defensive, cuts over towards Bruscioli, but Bruscioli's got a fantastic run. The Porsche with the traction gets his nose ahead, and Bruscioli sweeps into the lead. Great driving by the Pro-Am, but Vermeulen's played it smart. He's gone to the inside, and he's found the traction. He's found the shortest route. Bruscioli washes out wide, and Vermeulen retakes the lead.
Yes, a good driving between the two, because Bruscioli, as we said, might get the drop going into the first corner, but Vermeulen played it really smart there because he kept it to the shortest line possible, and with the way that the track is at the moment in the wet, then if you take the shortest line and just gently feel the power in, because Bruscioli's on a journey of discovery around the outside, he was able to then just effectively creep around the inside and block any exit for the Porsche driver. Great racing between the pair of them.
Yeah, incredibly tactical chess moves, one after the other. Just picking up a few moves further down. Brown get a bit diced in the back of Serpentine.
Bruscioli's having a go at Vermeulen, but again just falls back. I was just
as he does it down the inside, bold move. Uses the tight line that he saw on turn 1. Caps Vermeulen napping. Vermeulen was not expecting that move, but for some reason Bruscioli takes the wide line, invites Vermeulen down to the outside, then cuts him off towards the braking zone, and into turn 11 they go with Bruscioli in the lead. It's an incredible battle going on at the front. We will find the battles further back as the timings settle in. Looks like we've had a bit of drama towards the back. Back from car 13, there's a big bit of field spread going on. We've already got a car in the pits, car 985. And Bruscioli looks potentially like he's got wet tyres on, you know, gone seeking puddles.
Yeah, I was just about to say that actually it did look like they were on different tyres just from the rims, but I don't know whether that's how they've
we've got Eden going
on.
down the inside of McLaren of FaZe. He's got it. Oh, FaZe gives him a little tap in the bum just to say hello. And then we have Spamp looking for it as well.
Yeah, Fast is going about this the wrong way, to be honest with you. With him being an AM driver so far up ahead of his AM rivals, with Mendes, the next car back in 14, he really does need to calm down and stop wiggling his wheels at drivers in Pro class, because you're racing more for your class. There's an overall to consider, which we mentioned at the top, but Fast needs to calm down and think about the class victory, because especially with Mendes dropping to 15th, he can afford to lose a couple of positions.
Was a little bit further ahead. Who was that?
Driver in the pit lane is Danny Felix, with Paul Vidler, who started in the pit lane, as well as Paul Trotman also in the pits. There was a lot of drama. They'd all got through the first sector well, but it was going down.
As we've got a spinner, car 76, 79.
That's Chris Gepman if it's car 79. It's Trevor Mendes if it's 76. 76 is Trevor Mendes. Looking okay at the moment.
And then we have car 81 around with, and that is Wheats. Wheats facing backwards at turn 10. I think he's had a collision with a few of the cars. That's car 21 as well.
Jake Hanley in the Mustang, Marco Lino, I think Darren Townsend also pulling away there. So, yeah, disastrous stuff for those. But if they keep going, then they'll still have an advantage going into race number 2. Important to consider that. But yeah,
especially if they've got if you've got the soft tyres on as well. As further back, this is FaZe trying to move on Eden in the Lexus in a straight line battle that he's not going to win. But then Brown trying to go around the outside, which then becomes the inside for turns 2 and 3, but he backs out of that.
Track is already damp, so I suspect if you're on wet, in the next 5 minutes are going to be crucial, because if it goes to a greasy surface within the next 5 minutes, you'll be in trouble.
Oh, Bamp's trying to go around the outside of Phase, sorry Jack. He definitely sized up, but he did look like he had a possibility to come out of turn 3. But as they go through the S's, they settle back in. You only really want to be going single file through there.
Yeah, you need to play it smart if you're multi-class racing here. You've got Felipe Spamf, the other reserve, 2 Italian reserves, Elsa Dowie and Spamf, who did rather well last week. And
Phase showing those on the inside. Now will he get cut back on the cutback? Going wide into this turn, but that's opened the cut door for Bamf. Bamf finds himself down the inside. Can he find the traction on the inside there? He's going to have him boxed in behind Eden. But which car does Eden defend? They are neck and neck going into turn 11. But Bamf gets himself ahead.
Yeah, it looks like Fast got the memo there, because he was a lot more aggressive, wasn't he, with Eden wiggling his wheels there. Just slots in behind the pro driver and retains over, well, and lead, especially with Trevor Mendes having dropped back. He's got 10 cars nearly between himself and the next AM driver.
So I'm just picking up Jabino. Got a hook line on the back of Desire. Desire goes into the wall. Oh no, and he tries to correct, and that has then put Jabino in the wall as well. I don't think that was no way intentional. Just caught a bit of grass trying to give space. And then Jabino does rejoin, battered and bruised. And that's, I think, the end of the race of car 51.
That's perfect rejoining. I know he's lost an awful lot of position, but we must praise the rejoin there, because whilst he was in the wall and whilst it would have been easy for him to try and flick spin into traffic, he's done that really well, so he deserves a lot of credit for his rejoin.
Yeah, with the wet tyres, not much you could have done about Jabino. I think just lit up the rear on the grass.
I think Vermeulen's starting to catch.
Oh, as we have another car on the wall, 37. That's Sharp. Sharp's in the wall. And down from 4th place, rejoins now at the back of a long pack and tries to go down the inside of Handley, I think that is.
Did we see what led to it? Because I know the Honda has been a fairly capricious car to drive, a fairly difficult car to drive on Thursday night. Do we know what led to it? Was there any contact? Doesn't look like there's a lot of damage to the bodywork there of Adam Sharp as he rejoins. What is he, 16th now? So good position for the next race, if difficult one for this. But look at the lead battle, because Vermeulen has caught Marcelin Bruch-Tully. So I think the crossover that we were talking about has unfortunately come a little earlier than Bruch-Tully would have liked. I don't know whether Vermeulen's got slightly different pressures on or what have you, but or whether it's slightly different tyres. But Bruch-Tully now certainly looking rearwards, isn't he?
He is, yeah. I think if there is a tyre difference, then I do think Vermeulen won't risk anything here. He can very much wait for Bruch-Tully's tyres to get completely burnt out and just take the easy position.
Well, they've got 7 seconds between 8 seconds between the top two. So until he starts costing, until Vermeulen starts losing 1 or 2 seconds a lap to Bosch-Michel behind, which doesn't look like it's going to happen anytime soon.
No, he's driving very smart all the same. Yeah, driving awfully smart all the same. I mean, another car around that is car
23, it's sort of Marchal, who's starting his season around late, not the way he would have wanted to start, the Frenchman, who was been steadily improving since his joining the championship last season, but yeah, difficult one for him to take this time around.
So that was car 81 spinning. We've got car 23 spinning as well, just at the end of the opening sector.
That Marchal around again? Yeah, it would be, because it's just busy free falling down the order beforehand, Marchal. As
Bruch-Tully goes also defensive again. Defensive or seeking water.
Could be either or, but it's a useful tactic when you've got a rather fast Ferrari coming at you. Vermeulen tries around the outside, not going to get any grip there. We saw that earlier in the race, didn't we? When Really tried it, but yeah, for now, has to just stay calm. They're still building a gap over Bosch-Michel behind. So Bosch-Michel not a threat at this moment in time. So now it's 10 minutes really of plotting, possibly for Vermeulen. You might want to get it done early, but I suspect that you might just, if it was me in this position, you try and wait for the tyres to go off ahead and just try and make sure that you put him under pressure without going a bit silly, which I don't think Vermeulen's going to do.
Another battle in the top 10, Pro involved once again. Bant, having dispatched Phase a few laps ago, what we caught, is now all of the back of Eden. Now the McLaren, to my knowledge, does not have as big a straight line deficit to the Lexus as the Ferrari does. So this should be a bit more of an even fight down the pit straight.
Certainly not here, because you're never going to hit top speed. The McLaren does tend to sort of max out, as I think Vermeulen is going around the outside, but not quite going to make it there as Bush-Tully covers the inside. Now Bush-Tully needs this to stay as damp as possible for as long as possible. When it goes to greasy, you lose a lot of the puddles, and that means that you can't cool off those tyres. I think Gabino now is kind of 19. Is he dropping back a little bit? It does seem like he's dropping down the order. No, he's just 5.5 seconds off the back.
I mean, it did get a lot of damage from the incident with Zare. But
Vermeulen's now going to try around the outside. I think he's got an overlap.
He's got an overlap. He got a bit of draft as well in his favour. He's going to try and see if there's any dry track around the outside, but no, it's not been touched. It's a little damp. Tries the up and under. Bush-Tully knows where the wet track is, and he is sticking to it.
Yeah, Bush-Tully driving a sensible race at the moment.
Oh, as we got great movement from Alpha Dowie, going all the way to the wall and then down the inside of Gabino. Damaged as he is, Gabino still putting up a fight, but not enough of a fight to keep. How do you pronounce his name?
Alpha Dowie.
Alpha Dowie.
Alpha Dowie. Alpha Dowie there, doing rather well to get himself into the top 10. Vermeulen, just what I was saying about the track conditions changing, it's now gone to greasy, so bad news for the Porsches. Vermeulen goes down the inside, does he? No, doesn't quite make it stick, but I think he might just set him up coming out of the next corner. He's got the outside line, which is going to be potential to square the corner off. Porsche's got really good traction, but his tyres are going to die a death. I suspect that the move isn't going to be here because Bush-Tully's going to show him the outside going into here, so he'll have to be a brave man to make that stick, but I suspect the move's going to come round the outside. No, it isn't. It's going to come round the outside here.
Oh,
is he going to slow it down? No, not quite. I think the move's going to come out of the final corner where hopefully he might, for his sake, be able to out-traction the Porsche, get a better run going out onto the front straight, and that might be where, because Porsche visibly struggling now.
Yeah, and here he goes, picks up the draft. He's not leaving it behind this time. Bush-Tully, well, looks like actually Vermeulen's got to the inside first, so that's rid Bush-Tully of any dampness he might be able to find. He's nicked the inside. There's a car coming out of the pit. Could this really affect the move? I think it might. I think it might have been a little bit of contact, but nothing too unfair. And Vermeulen finally gets that done. Navigated the car coming out of the pit absolutely perfectly.
Good driving from all three, because the laps car couldn't really do anything when he came out of the pit. 6-set move over and pull out of the way round the first corner.
Oh, I'm sorry, look at this battle going on down the pit straight at the moment. We have Colpitts and Sharp. Sharp trying to go down the inside, regain some honour from earlier. Fell from P4. Now up to P12. But that's invited Grace into the mix.
Don't suspect that they would fought each other too hard there, with them being a different class, but also Colpitts.
Oh, as Grace gets swapped round, and then 3 wide going round turn 3. Now Grace goes from leading that 3 to the back of it.
So Sharp and Colpitts in the same party, most likely, so I suspect there may have been a bit of formation flying there. What happened to Bush-Tully coming out of the final corner just as Vermeulen made the move? The reason he couldn't get over was because the back end swapped ends just under traction going through the final corner. That took him to the outside, took him onto the grass, and that made Vermeulen's task to get to the inside, which he's been trying to do for 3 or 4 laps, an awful lot easier.
But I tell you what, I've just picked up. Hopsill is now closing the gap to Bush-Tully. So Bush-Tully's P2 is not completely safe. He's also dragging Heymans and Serpentine along with him. So provided he does have the tyre difference of the dry tyres to go after Bush-Tully, this time should drop like dominoes. As you still seeking dampness on the outside of the track.
Yeah, so Aujourd'hui, well, he took a gamble, didn't he? And it's not exactly fair because look where he is in relation to Serpentine behind. Pospisil, meanwhile, 5.8 seconds behind. It's where it gets twisty. So you're thinking possibly sort of second sector, especially where it's going to cause the most problems. And we'll certainly see how that pans out.
So just Grace has re-overtaken the Ferrari of Richings, but now Richings coming back down the pit straight. Straight line, but can Grace nip his car ahead? Yes, he can. Richings tried to go late on the brakes, but couldn't get it done. But now through this section, the Porsche will be king, and I'm assuming will now scurry away more effectively.
Yeah, so Richings there fighting away for overall honours. It's impressive to see how fast, you know, after his bit of excitedness earlier on, has kept his head. That's been a theme in the lead AM drivers this season, with fast keeping his head. And obviously Dreadlock Steve, a lot of faster cars around him last week, and he still managed to just stay out. Look at the Elsa going down the inside.
Yeah, fantastic move. He did flash him into the corner, which wasn't massively necessary, but shouldn't flag too many problems.
I don't think there'll be any issues with that. I think you're going from Pro Class, which is Alpha Dowie, to Bus. I think it's formation flying. I think, yeah, certainly sensible driving there from Fast, because he's you know, kept out of the way. He's kept it safe. He's not just pulled out of the way as if he's, you know, an F1 backmarker from 10 years ago. But what he has done is just keep it sensible. You don't need to be the hero when you've got 6 cars between you and the next ab. Who, it must be said, Ferref, who was 40th, I believe, on the grid, up to 17th, but also second in class. But an excellent drive from Jochen Vera. To watch for him in the Audi, because this was a theme last week. He was where he shouldn't have been, really, in that car. And I think there was Spamford, Alpha Dowie swapping places there as well. So I think Spamford's also struggling as Alpha Dowie starting to charge through the field. So we'll certainly see how that pans out. Pospisil, meanwhile, 3.5 seconds off the back of Toujours.
And that is car 84 off on the exit of turn 3, which hopefully with a good rejoin shouldn't be too much of a problem. Looks like they're going again.
Paolo Flores, he's joined just ahead of Dowie, so where that gap is, he's down in 39, so difficult race for himself.
So this battle for P2 is going to come down to the absolute wire. We're already down to 2.5 seconds. Brush Tully is very much in the sights of these two, Pospisil and Heymans, but will Heymans cost Pospisil the run at this, because he is really pushing on the back of him now. The Porsche has proven itself to be a tough competitor in this race. Skill of the Ferrari driver is keeping him very much in the hunt, but Brush Tully absolutely bleeding time now. The track may still say greasy, but it looks absolutely bone dry from our cameras, and Pospisil may well have a run. It was literally 5.5 seconds 2 laps ago, and look where we are now in the draft of Brush Tully. Brush Tully, who once again is probably going to pull to the inside to try and cool his tyres, and there he goes. And it looks like Pospisil's not going to give him the satisfaction. He goes to the inside. Will Heymans try the outside? Oh, we've got a Mika Schumacher situation going on. Oh, and oh my goodness, what a move by Wouter Heymans around the outside, 2 into 1. Fantastic. History repeating itself.
I think Pospisil was a bit cautious there because he knew there were 3 wide. Didn't want to take Brush Tully wide himself going down the inside. I think Heymans used that to his advantage perfectly, because he had the grip around the outside, and with Pospisil not being quite so ruthless, you realise that he was always going to get that drive around the outside there as the track starts to grip up. Really good driving from the 3 of them, but Heymans in particularly there with an astonishing move. Brush Tully now is under threat for the class lead because it's Serpentine behind him. We said that might be safe. I might be eating me words here. Serpentine and Brown behind. Serpentine goes down to the inside. Is he going to make the move now? He's got to keep it tight to the inside. Brush Tully runs wide. I think his wets have given up, and he drops now to 6th place with Serpentine up into 4th and leading Silver Class ahead of Gordon Brown in the Lamborghini of Pro Class. He's got a car already between him and the next challenger, with 3rd in silver being Lee Colpitts. So that is a race to find a move there for Renard Serpentine. Great driving there.
Yep, so Pospisil hasn't quite given up on Heymans yet, but he hasn't got quite enough time to do anything about it, I don't think. What about Andrew Eden now on the back of Brush Tully? This should be, I think all moves on Brush Tully now will be relatively simple. He's already up on his inside of the exit turn 13. Brush Tully's tyres absolutely given up now.
I know he's going to finish 7th, but I really like the fact that he tried something a bit different and tried to win the race. Bruscioli, it's not worked, but he's only going to end up 7th rather than 17th. So props to him for having a go, really.
Oh,
as,
look at this battle for
end.
P10. We've got FaZe leading these through. We've got Sharp and Colpitts closing in. Sharp goes for the first move out wide to the inside. Can he make it stick? One goes through. Will the BMW of Colpitts also sneak down the inside? He does. But can he get the traction out of the corner? Yes, he can.
Bump has been making errors. I think he might also be on warm wet because he's dropped back behind Fars earlier. I mean, he was battling
now Grace as well
a little while ago, and Fars now in 9th. I think it's Fars, that's how it's pronounced. Got to be careful here. Sharp won't pass him unnecessarily. He's got Lee Colpitts behind, but I think that'll be formation flying. But Sharp won't be silly with him, but he will try and pass him in what is usually an overtaking area with, I think, Vermeulen is just about to come around to finish the race.
And we are going to flick quickly to him, but I'm going to stay on this battle for as long as we can because it is quite enthralling. Alright, to Vermeulen, coming around the final bend. He's done oh so well to bide his time, make the easy move on Bruscioli, who's now dropped down to 7th, but there goes the win. And Heymans did eventually get to drop Popisil, and he's going to come across the line. Those who gambled, sort of gambled with the dry tyres early on, pay dividends at the end with Heymans, Popisil.
Contact between, I think it's Grace has hit Sharp up the backside. Sharp going around the outside of Fars into the final
and he's returned to the
stadium
pits.
section. And unfortunately, Morgan Grace has not had his best work there. I think he's hit Sharp up the backside, and that is disappointment for the Honda, who was at support to pits with damage. Not one.
But look at this, FaZe coming home for a 9th place overall and a commanding lead in the AM tier. With Colpitts and Richings following home.
Great drive there from the Belgian, who's not shown that pace. Much in terms of previously. He's not really sort of shown us that, but that is a really good drive from the McLaren drive, and he can be well pleased with that. It's Cherry Moore, the reserve in now. Gavin Cherry Moore's got himself.
Oh my god, look at the background! What is going on there? Oh, as we get bumps over the line. That was Coppens and Thacker sending each other sideways into the wall at the end there. Elbows out.
What a mad end. What a mad end.
This is sprint racing. Racing at its very best. As per the FRL slogan.
I think we've just got, I think it's Miguel Silva now of Luxembourg to cross the line, and Michel van der Waal to cross the line in 32nd. I think that's all done. Because the only driver left out there is Adam Sharp.
He's in the pits.
He's in the pits. So... horrible news there. The only crumb of comfort I can give Sharp is that he will be starting towards the sharp end of race number 2. But yeah, he'll be gutted with that. He obviously had an issue before, but I don't think he'll be pleased when he sees the replay back of that. It's not something the race usually does, to be fair to him, but on this one, I think, knowing the driver like I do, I think he'll be holding his hands up.
Yeah, obviously all things regarding incidents will go to our high professional stewards for review, and obviously we'll try and feed that information back to you in the following week's racing. I just know, I think Bruscioli is giving himself a lap of honour. And we'll wait until that's finalised to get your highlights in, and we'll go through that as the server is reset. I think, can I get that now? I think I can.
Bruscioli's second overall. He was nearly caught by Al-Fidawi, who's really did rise well in the latter stage. I think he had a couple of incidents earlier on, so I think had he not had that, I think he'd have certainly been further up the order there, Al-Fidawi. I'm really looking forward, really hoping we see him and Vermeulen battle, because he was in dominant mood last time out in Austria, Al-Fidawi, so I'm hopeful that the BMW driver can bring that here. It's not really a BMW track, is it? But I'm hopeful that he can overcome that, because Vermeulen in the Ferrari is obviously going to be very difficult to beat. But
But from the back,
if there's anybody...
that's the kicker for your Super Sprint Sunday. If you weren't here last week, allow us once again to explain the format, as we've not cleared up at the start of this race. Your format, and the reason we're leaving the server is because we are now going to go about a full lobby reset where we reverse the grid for our 40-minute sprint, and you're going to get to see the expertise of Jared Vermeulen coming all the way from the back of the grid to try and do a last to first, as every driver is going to try and reverse their starting position. But we are going to pick up with some highlights. And it's going to do the opening lap with Marklin Brush-Tully. But yeah, so you saw this bit on the stream. So whilst reviewing that, we'll let you know obviously about FRL. It's the best place to be for sim racing online. It covers so many games: Gran Turismo, Assetto Corsa Competizione, iRacing, Le Mans Ultimate, which I loved watching the other night. All your sim racing needs are met by FRL, running most nights of the week with so much commentary like this one. So make sure you like and subscribe to the channel to keep up with the racing if you're not a sim racer yourself. But if you do want to get involved, drop a comment in the comments, and one of the admins will reach out to you with a Discord link or a SimGrid link if necessary for the event you're looking to participate in. Now, FRL, and particularly this event, is sponsored by SimNet, provider of very, very high quality sim racing equipment. So make sure you look at them online to try and upgrade your setup. If you are new to FRL, obviously welcome to joining us in racing tonight. If you're not so new, do consider joining the Patreon. It starts at just £3 a month, and you get a whole heap of benefits to go along with that, and early access to events, reserve race numbers. You get your own Patreon server to practice in, and a whole host of other things. You get priority voting and stuff like that, and obviously it's a tiered system, so do look out to what you can do higher up in the Patreon ladder if you're not already in that. This will go 7 rounds, so make sure you stay with us for all 7 rounds. We've got a special event coming up at the end, just a single, I believe it's a 60-minute race. Have I got that right?
Yes.
Yeah, 60-minute race, reverse grid within tiers. So pro reversed, pro am reversed, and am reversed. No qualifying, just reverse championship positions at the end of the season with double points to cap it off. As we didn't see that as it happened, one of the Audis hopping across the grass down in P21, and then following on in the as he takes the really high banking around there. And this is Brown. I wonder if he's going to get a position on Gal Serpentine here. Is it a worked one or a free one? Because that's Serpentine ahead there. He's quite way ahead, so I'll be impressed if he actually makes a move from here. Oh, as we see the big crash we caught on stream in the back between Jabino and Dever. I'm trying to remember names off the top of my head, but that was present.
Yeah, that was Stein Dever. Far away. No, one of the newer drivers that I think you'll get to know going into the series. He's had a pretty good start to the season, to be fair to say. I thought he was pretty good last time out, but I think Zandvoort in the wet is a whole different kettle of fish, isn't it, to Austria in the dry, with Austria being fairly straightforward track, in the words of Danica Patrick, who was obviously the Oracle. Never mind what Nico Rosberg said. So yeah, coming into the first corner here, Brush-Tully brakes really late, really well, but I think with the inside as it is, with the lack of banking, certainly at turn number 1, this is pre-F1 return, that all Vermeulen had to do was creep around the inside and make sure that he didn't do anything silly on the exit.
I mean, that's incredibly smart driving, considering obviously the huge tyre advantage that Brush-Tully has. at this stage of the race, just to know what he can and can't do with his dry tyres.
No, I'll tell you, that's instinct. That's not, oh, I'm going to do this. It's barely considered when you're driving in, when you're in race there. It's something that you just sort of subconsciously do, and then just deal with the circuit or deal with the consequences on the way out. So all of what you're seeing there, and this is what separates the good from the great, is racing brain, racing instinct, just kicking into gear there.
And then we have showing Gordon Brown on Serpentine here, but there's another move going on in the background. So we just assume Serpentine goes deep here. Brown cuts it tight to the inside. I mean, so far this is well defended from Serpentine. It didn't look like he actually got it done. And this is Al-Fadawi on the inside of Chumakos.
Side by side down the back stretch is not a place I would want to be.
Not in the wet.
With how bumpy around this track it is, it's difficult to go through there on your own. But when you're side by side,
we have just been given a message to rejoin, so we're going to go and do that, as we've already watched that highlights a few times.
Green light, go, go, go.
So just bear with me while I get my... we catch a nice little drift coming out of the pits there. Who is that? I'm trying to follow them.
I think that's Brush Tully.
Brush Tully. That'll be my guinea pig. I think it must be that one. We'll soon find out. Yep, I'm pretty sure I'm happy with that one. If you didn't know that's how we set the spectator cameras on console, you do now. As we had just got a short practice session before the drivers get reset to the grid, and it is, or at least in the practice at least, still looking a bit wet. Wonder how the drivers will take to this, or if they are expecting a more of a reasonable changeover in this race, seeing as it's a 40 minutes. No mandatory pit stops unlike last season. Very much up to the driver's interpretation now whether or not they change out of their early chosen tyre. I mean, Jack, with 40 minutes, is it worth, if you see the changeable weather, do you gamble on the latter required tyre to go out on? If it's a dry one? If it's set up the same way?
It depends really on when that weather's going to hit, because if it's hitting in 5 minutes, then you go with the latter one. But if you can't see it for 15 minutes, then you may as well gamble, because there's no point pitting. If you pit, you cost yourself a minute, and a minute's impossible to get back when the conditions change so gradually. But if it's me, I tend to still drive the conditions I'm in, because when it rains, if it's 15 minutes until it rains, when it rains, it doesn't, turn the track into wet, for a good 3 or 4 laps, for example. So 3 or 4 laps in that is, 6 or 7 minutes. That's 10% of the race. And then at that point it will go to greasy, and then it will progress to damp and then wet. So if it just depends really on when that is going to hit, because, if it's 5 minutes, then you just suffer for a bit. But if there's any kind of unknown, then it's drive the conditions you're in, I think.
I mean, is there any argument with the minute that it takes to pit? Is it worth using that minute to let the conditions change?
No, because when you pit, losing that minute isn't going to be got back in the time that you have. Especially if you think that you'll be pitting probably about, let's say, halfway into the race. You've got then 20 minutes to catch 1 minute. It's never going to work, because not only whilst you're going to be a lot faster, you'll be bringing yourself in, but you'll be coming up against cars that are 3 or 4 seconds a lap slower, maybe even 3 or 4 seconds a sector slower. And when you're stuck behind them around the track like this, it's so twisty and so technical and so narrow, it's not going to be a given that you'll pass them. So I think once you've made your decision, whatever it is, unless it's quite obviously the wrong one, then you stick to it, because if you do anything else, it's really is an unnecessary risk in my view.
Now, what do you make of maybe somebody like Vermeulen, sort of thinking the same way? I think he's already starting from the back. Is it worth, if he doesn't make early progress on the tyres he's on, maybe pitting out, finding the clean air with the tyres that he wants?
Depends really on how the race starts. Depends really on whether it's gonna it depends whether it's worth it really. But in the end, you still, when you're that far back, if you're 41st, say, on the grid, which I think he will be, there might be a couple of other drivers who didn't complete the race, but if you're, say, 40th on the grid, you don't make progress in the first couple of laps, you're 35th, 34th, which is his version of not making progress, probably going to be half a second off of the lead, half a minute off of the lead. You then pit, you're nearly a lap down. And with it not being compulsory anymore to pit, then that becomes, especially when you meet drivers that are slower than you, that becomes really, really difficult to then come through the field and get to the front. It just depends really on what he deems a success, because a lot of people from 40th, 41st to the grid would probably say, well, 20, top 20 is a success, but this isn't for me. He really didn't do that. Look how far back they are. I think, where's he going to start? I think he's actually, he's 40th, so he's got Danny Felix, and he's got Mr. Overtaker, who's a late entrant into the race, but we know what he can do with a Mustang. As it is, you're just going to be starting on wets. You're going to take some pressure out of your wets, and you're going to sort of suffer a little bit, because whilst they'll be, whilst you'll have them be too hot for the early part of the race, once it gets heavier and heavier, then your car will be drivable. So it's not going to be tyre choice, but it's going to be pressure choice that could make or break this.
Yeah, I mean, how much the grid, you reckon, will have will be making that finite adjustment to actually get this on the nose? Because it's
all of them. All of them will be trying to do that. It's going to be really, because it's obvious you're going to be staying on wets the whole time, but it's just about how much. Because some people will be tempted to take them down too much to give them, a little bit more competitive temperature at the start. But actually, if you put a little bit more in, because it's just going to get heavier and heavier. It's already a wet track, but when it rains heavier and heavier, if you actually leave a little bit more in than you'd ideally want at this stage, you'll be quicker through the race when the rain just keeps getting heavier and heavier, because it doesn't look like it's going to dry up. We've got 45 minutes, haven't we? And I don't see that this track will ever be in a state, unless it stops raining completely after the 15-minute mark. I don't see that it's going to be in a state where drivers will be particularly enamoured with the idea of coming in, especially with track temperature of 14 degrees.
No, and only getting wetter as the time goes on, as you can see at the top of your screen there. So, and also, potentially this, if we have any drying up conditions at all, depending on tyre pressure choices, we may well see some time management seeking out puddles, even for the wet tyres. Because 42 cars going around the track, a short one like this, even with rain coming down, we may find wetter and drier parts of the track even then. So we may well see some alternative lines being used just for those drivers that are trying to manage the surface of their tyre. As we are now 30 seconds until go time Let us know if you're backing anybody for coming through this field. Can't say driver for Mullen, that's a given. So people in the comments, let us know what you think.
I think Vidler might be the favourite, or Sharp might be the favourite, one of those two, if they can stay out of trouble. Marshall is a sensible enough driver. He's certainly improved with experience and age, because there was a point where he was a little bit more naive. I think Vidler's had to start from the pit lane, so he's not going to be... Yeah, Paul Vidler started from the pit lane. I think it might have been.
Car 18 as well.
Shumakov's start from the pits, but... So I think the favourite for this is, provided he can avoid any traffic-related issues, let's say, I think it's Adam Sharp. Marshall can scamper and has the ability to scamper away from drivers like Smets, Floris and Trotman, who, with all due respect, are solid AM drivers, but not as quick as Marshall. But Marshall being the central driver that he is, I don't think he'll go bumper car racing with any driver that's a lot faster. So I suspect that Sharp, should he be able to stay out of trouble, will be the favourite.
Now, do we think anybody's been watching the highlights post-race? Have they seen what Vermeulen did? Is he going to hold the inside? But we all go, go, go! So really, really good start from Marshall. Immediately cuts over the wide line onto the inside. And it looks like the Mercedes further back of Smets dives to the inside of Trotman, sorry. Floris is clearing away, but he does take a bit of gravel on the outside. As we're still going side by side into turn 3, and looks like the Ford.
That's Jake Hanley. He's got in, I think, ahead of Vidler. Vidler has actually cut. No, he's not. It's ACC doing ACC things. So I don't think that helps. That's why he's gone back to the leader. But it's Jake Hanley is up to 5th place, and he's on the back. He's up to 4th. He's got
that's Floris.
That's Floris.
Big flash from Floris.
Done well to keep that off the track. I don't know how much of that he knew about it, but he held the brakes. I could see the feet were jammed on the brakes. A good driving there from Floris, even if that is going to ruin his race. Marshall already 2 seconds clear, though, isn't he?
And Hanley diving down the inside of Trotman. Sends him all the way around the outside, but can Trotman swing it back? He tries. Nose is still in there. Can he get the traction on the inside? The Ford struggles. BMW elects for the outside, but I think in a straight up shootout for speed, I think the Mustang's going to win that one. Yeah, good drive from the pair of them there. Hanley just using the Ford's superior straight line speed to get away, and using his superior line to get better traction there. Trotman not doing anything daft, leaving the AM class as he is at the moment, not doing anything stupid. I think that's going to serve him well with the rain as it is at the moment. Couple of drivers well, but Smets all over the back of him. Smets had a much cleaner run through 13 and now finds himself in the back. And then we have Sharp chasing Vandervoort behind, goes onto the grass. Sharp now dives to the inside. Big load of space in front of him to slot his Honda Civic into.
Yeah, really good move in the NSX there. Adam Sharp, you can be pleased with that.
Oh, as we have a touch. P3 and P4. Touch going through turn 2. That's 4 and 5, sorry.
Yeah, Smets and Bates. Smets has been a little bit error prone already at the start of this. I've seen the back end not looking particularly happy because he was attacking Trotman not a moment ago. But Smets there struggling really with the rear end of that Mercedes. It's pretty undrivable, doesn't it? And I think Bates needs to get past as quickly as possible. I think Trotman, where's Trotman? Is he disconnected? Because he was. Where's he gone? Trotman's back in 11th, so I don't know what happened to him, but yeah, a bit of strife there for the BMW driver, and Hanley is starting to catch Marshall.
As I see Smets going deep through turn 9 again. Bentley, even though he's struggling, does look more comfortable. But if he wants to make this move, he's have to make it quickly because Adam Sharp is on his way.
Could be driving pretty sensibly, these two, but yeah. So
sensibly, not so Smets over the gravel, but rejoins just nick of time.
Back end when it looked like on braking, and that's what I mean. The Mercedes, that car in particular, has looked very difficult to drive, and I think Smets has been not necessarily driver error so much as more car error, because that looks a really filthy thing to drive in the wet at this moment in time. But if he's sensible, he won't fight Sharp too much. because Sharp might actually be a bit of a help in his battle with Vates.
Yeah, I think he actually backs off a little bit there. Just you saw down the straight, even before the braking, Sharp eases past.
Pretty sensible stuff from Smets there. Knows that Sharp is not his fight, but Sharp now on the way. Needs to clear Vates rather quickly.
We've got Vereth being attacked by Peter of Grace. Grace goes through. We've got Wazert closing behind him for P14.
Wanted to watch where Jared Vermeulen is. He's currently 24th.
And he's got, well, but look at the queue of cars he's got to overtake. That is no small task, even for a man of Vermeulen's capabilities.
Well, overtaker's actually gone past him, hasn't he? Because he's 20th, having started in 42nd. So, impressive effort there from the Mustang. A couple of drivers have got back. Much Tully, well, I say dropped back. He's up a few positions, but he dropped back relative to those around him. We've got. I think drivers like Mendes and Dreadlock Steve have had a few issues, haven't they? So is David Felix. And David Fast is in the pit. So what was a really impressive class win earlier has...
So we've got Grace approaching Trotman. So he's going to take two into one corner. Look, where did they go? Both cut the chicane.
That's
and through goes Grace. That's handy.
Getman there moving over and was trying to pass. I think Wasser there did well to avoid. Getman trying to pass one and defend from another. Having to multitask there going into the penultimate corner, but they all did rather well. Sharp still stuck behind Vates in the Bentley meanwhile. He's got to clear him, otherwise it's race winning chances over, I would suspect, if he doesn't clear it soon.
So Trotman bleeding positions now. Down to P14.
Got now drivers of his own class behind him. That's Thacker and Kelleher behind. Although contact there. Contact as Kelleher unfortunately gets into the back of Jamie Thacker, and that is race done, I think, for Thacker there. That back end looking beaten up. He went rear first, then front end had to bite in. I think they were just getting a bit confused behind Trotman there, because the Thacker, the black Ferrari Thacker checked up, and unfortunately the Kelleher, the other Ferrari, wasn't able to check up in time, and that's what led to the impact there. So a bit unfortunate there, but I think Kelleher will probably take blame for that.
It does look like Thacker has been able to continue. He's now rejoined and trying to hold off Chumakovs in P31.
I think Vermeulen's got past El Fadawi. El Fadawi has just gone wide and let...
So just picking up Vereth, huge dive on Silver for P10. Silver gone deep into the turn. Vereth is quite happy to go on the outside if he gets to keep the position, but just behind that, Wazzer, seeing the strife that Silver found himself in, now ducks on the inside for P13 and now rejoins the fight with Vereth, but he gets a big snap out of 13. Will this invite Silver back in? No,
there's
the power of the Bentley.
You can afford to do that in. It's the Bentley, isn't it?
The Bentley fancies a go. Looks to the outside. Vereth goes defensive. Not doing.
Hanley, meanwhile, has dropped 7 seconds off the back of Marshall. Marshall is still walking away at this moment. I mean, actually, Vates and Sharp starting to catch the back of the Mustang. It does look like he's got a bit of impact damage, the Ford Mustang. Yeah, his front end is... crash! It's Vates in the wall in the Bentley, and that side is going to have plenty of accident damage there. Able to keep going, but I think he's going to drop now too. He's behind Smets, isn't he? And he's going to be just ahead of Van der Waal. So, Smets there. Unfortunately, from third position, just lost the bag going into the Russell area, where Russell backed it into the wall all those years ago. And unfortunately for the Dutchman, I think he's Dutch.
We've got Mr. Overtaker. We've got Vermeulen behind him. He's trying to go on the inside of Richings. Mr. Overtaker gets through. Vermeulen takes a tighter line, but then Richings able to cut back and stay ahead. How quickly will Vermeulen dispatch this?
Overtaker living up to his name there, wasn't he, Mr. Overtaker? But I don't think... Yeah, we should have him into here, but he's got to be careful on the brakes.
Incredible respect between the two of them. How much grip can Vermeulen find going around the outside? I think this is the point where Richings lets him go.
I think Richings spun up a little bit. It looked like the back end wasn't entirely happy with what it was being asked to do, so once he realised that, sensibly he tucked in behind.
And we've got Mr. Overtaker on the back of Trotman now. Trotman losing more positions. Mr. Overtaker just has better traction, better speed. Trotman is going to fight this all the way to the corner, but Mr. Overtaker gets it done.
Look at the fight for second. I think Hanley's, his Mustang, I think there's a bit of damage at the front end of that car. There is. So I think he's had an issue somewhere, but he's now got Sharp on the back. And should Sharp get past Hanley, I'll make him favourite for the race within the next 5 minutes, because he's got the pace to hunt down Marshall. He just needs to clear this rather errant Mustang very, very quickly. I think he's going to have a look. Is he? No, not quite. I'll keep an eye on that. But, you know,
as behind there, that
Trotman.
Was... I think one of the BMWs went off.
Yeah, it's Trotman. Trotman in the BMW's gone off and into the weeds and out of the race.
It's a shame.
Not victim again, I think, to the S's on the back straight. Very difficult in the wet. If you just catch it even slightly wrong, then you come a cropper. Meanwhile, 5 for second starts to hot up. The Mustang looking a little bit wayward in the twisty section, but the Honda has to get better traction coming out of it, because the Mustang obviously has a power advantage, but is he going to be able to resist Sharp? Sharp now going onto the back straight. He's very close, isn't he, the Honda? There was Tarzan, you good going onto the onto the grass there, but I don't think he's going to make it. I think he's going to have to force Hadley into a mistake here, because the Mustang's still got so much grunt down the straight, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's doing such a good job as Hanley managing this, but he's gone a little bit deeper exit turn 1. I think he's continuing to find the maximum minimum corner speed he can do just to see off any late dives. Heading back to Mr. Overtaker down the inside of Coal Pits, dragging Vermeulen through with him. And Vermeulen's getting caught up here because he's the one that's getting blocked after Mr. Overtaker's done the slicing. As we have car 79, that's Gedman backwards, and Alpha Dowie.
Well.
Such a shame, and that is not a position you want to be in there.
Good rejoin though, in that he hasn't just driven into the crowd. So the rejoin council will approve.
I'm just found there in P7 chasing Van der Waal for P6. This is for the second place in the silver tier. Gedman's
dropped back to 36 after that, so
maybe
yeah.
it was backwards. Had to wait a long time to rejoin, but Desair's now got what he wanted. Van der Waal has gone off and onto the gravel. He has to join back with a lot of speed, but then they get blocked by Wheats.
Oh, Mustang's wide out of the final corner for second. I think this might be a chance for the Honda. No, not quite. I don't think he's close enough. He's gone roundly for us and come back to the final corner. They've got Smets behind. The lead AM driver has caught this battle up.
Oh, he's going for it. He's found the inside line. It's going to require Handley to find traction around the outside to make this work.
Handley's given him a lot of respect there, but I think the Honda, if he's confident enough on the brakes, could do it into turn 2. No, he can't, but he'll have to do a wall of death around the outside into 3. Great respect shown between these two drivers, because it's really tight and it's great racing there. Sharp there with an excellent move around the outside. Had to do it, had to force him into a mistake on the brakes, and Handley, respectful enough, showed him a lot of faith in terms of making sure that he wasn't going to get crashed into and was going to get left alone around the outside. But Sharp there, yeah, had to get that done when he did, because he'd lost 3 or 4 seconds behind Handley just over the previous couple of laps. So now he'll set off after Marshall, and we can get on to another battle.
I've just noticed that Mr. Overtaker's all the way back in P36 now, so the man who was leading Vermeulen through the pack has now dropped well back. Vermeulen now with his progress up to P11. Viref is next on his list.
Yeah, Vermeulen just picking his way through, isn't he? He's got Vereth ahead, then Wazza, then Townsend, and it's only really sort of second long instalments. Okay, Grace has got 3.5 seconds between himself. I think Wonderwall's hip problems, isn't he? He's just ahead, but it's only really sort of second long intervals, isn't there, between. I mean, look, Handley's going to be a bit of a roadblock, I would assume, in that Mustang, because it does not look happy in corners. But if he can get through at the rate of 1 a lap, then with the way that the race is going, he's still going to be towards the sharp end, isn't he?
So just caught Brush Tully with Lino ahead of him. He's looking racy. Hasn't quite made the same progress as Vermeulen, but he's getting his elbows out. There's a bit of a snake going to turn 13, and he's found one hell of a cutback, and that's a great move.
Yeah, forced Lino into a mistake there. He was buzzing around behind him and just giving him something to look at as you go on the brakes. If you've got something to look at that's not where you're going in the braking zone, then naturally you do drift slightly wide. It does affect your driving.
Lino's not giving up.
That's what he did.
But he washes out around the outside, and Gibino's going to be the one closer to him than Brush Tully for the foreseeable future.
Been a fairly strong field, isn't it? I think, Mr. Overtaker's gone, and I think Handley's gone, obviously, after his collision earlier on, but apart from that, they've all stayed, haven't they?
Yeah, we've got Vermeulen, now the fastest lap. Van der Waal, for several laps, was held by Grace, but now Vermeulen with a bit more clear air, more staggered approach to overtaking the other cars. We're going to try a big cutback on Van der Waal here. That's one big cut, goes wide again. Gets blocked from the apex. That will affect his run, but we'll see by exactly how much.
I think he's going to do it here.
Incredible commitment on the brakes, but Van der Waal, wily old fox, keeps the wits about him, takes the deeper line to the corner and drives out with equal efficiency.
Yeah, good driving there from Van der Waal. He's not going to be easily overawed, is he, by the behemoth that is Vermeulen. I think Fade's still holding a few up, isn't he, in the battered and bruised Bentley. Can Brush Tully do what he did before? Not quite. Got Hyman's behind him as well, so he wants to be fairly brisk about this.
I think he's only just overtaken Hyman, so we should give him a bit of slack.
No, but I know what Hyman's like, a very opportunistic driver sometimes, so we want to be brisk about this, save any opportunity for Hyman to get through.
Here he goes.
He's going to go down the inside. He's going to do a sharp move, I think. He might just get it done before then. Yeah, good driving there from Vase.
Oh no, just carried. He got it because he was carrying too much speed. And that's the rejoin.
Managed that quite well, to be fair. It's a horrible place to go off in the wet, so all drivers managed that quite well. Those that gave him space to come on, and him for keeping it controlled enough to just be going on the inside.
As we have a supporter for Marshall in the comments. Lonnie, I'm glad you're here, glad you're supporting our leader for the evening. He is slowly getting closed down by Sharp now, but he's approaching the halfway point of the race. He can try and keep him at bay. One thing to catch, it's another thing to overtake.
Going to start easing up the weather in the next quarter of an hour, so we'll see how that affects things. As more grip comes back, it might just play to the advantage of the quicker drivers. I think Hyman's having a go at SimNet now with the Ferrari.
And on the brakes he goes into turn 11. Great job from Weeks there.
So, better from Hyman's. Yeah, managed to keep his nose clean there. Certainly resisting the urge to go with an overly ambitious one there. So good driving from Hyman's.
And we've got Franz Hermann just behind, keeping an eye on how this one develops.
That Vereth just moving over. No, it isn't Vereth, is it? It's
Oh, as we got a big dive from Heyman's. Oh, it's such a big dive. Can't quite keep it together as we end up with 3 wide coming out the first turn. And that is Wheat losing out on that one in the end.
Yeah, I put the mockers on that, didn't I?
As then Heyman's on the grass, and now Surfer goes through, and he loses 3 positions, and now Wheats is going to be back on his tail.
Yeah, a little bit of a lack of proficiency on the brake pedal there from Hyman's. Come from not necessarily too far back, too late on the brakes. And when you go in straight, as the corner turns into
I think Marshall's made a mistake. Marshall now being caught, 9 seconds has just disappeared.
Yeah, Sharp catching him at over a second a lap, but this is the opportunity that Honda's been waiting for. So the Mercedes had looked capricious in the hands of I think it was SimNet, wasn't it, all the way back, although he seems to have dropped off, but the Mercedes now struggling a little bit. Yeah, back end looks really fruity, so I wonder if he's made those tyres, he's got those tyres far too hot. I wonder if he's spun maybe, and he's still struggling with the effects there. So Sharp goes wide again. I think it's a preferred line for him at this point.
Oh, was
so,
catch his egg on the grass, keeping his foot planted behind Hanley.
It's fine there. If you go any further wide, you'll end up in the fence, you'll end up spun. But where they are at the moment, it's just off the curb, they'll be fine.
And we've got Eden closing on Vanderwall, probably the fastest car in the game because it's powerful and zippy and light. And down the inside, massive catching on the straight. Plants himself to the inside and drives out. That inside line is strong this evening.
Yeah, Drive's not finding the grip around the outside, are they? So, bit of a strange one, because normally if you sort of towards the outside there, you can get a run, really, but not the case here. I think it's going to be when, not if, with Sharp, isn't it? Because it's going to be dry, if you have a look, right at the end. So drivers are going to have to manage their tyres just a little bit in order to get to the end in any kind of fine fettle.
Yeah, I think Sharp is just looking that much more confident. The Honda does seem a lot better balanced than the Mercedes right now. Mercedes swinging like a pendulum on the rear.
I think it's just where obviously he went off. I think he's probably got the rears too hot. And it's really difficult to bring that temperature down when it's like this, especially with the track getting drier and drier. He's gone wide. He's gone wide, Marshall. I think this is it.
Marshall does rejoin in a competitive stance, but and then he gets on the inside curb as well. I don't think Sharp had it all his own way coming around that bend though. Marshall is coming back. This isn't over. But Sharp with the preferred inside line. Marshall's going to do something special here to hold on to this. I think his tyres are quite cooked.
Yeah, Sharp was compromised through the run because of where Marshall went off. He was compromised through the run through the final corner, and that's why he didn't get the traction that he wanted. That's why the back end just kicked a little bit, but managed well between the pair of them, and I think that should be that. Marshall flashing, I think, to say good move. There is something he's done before, so I don't think there's any ill will there, but the Frenchman settling into second, but he is still in the class lead.
Yeah, I mean, we've got Desire not too far behind, but he has taken several laps of attempts against Handley, and he hasn't been fruitful yet, but he's found a much better drive around turn 7. Elects for a little bit of grass coming into 8.
Meanwhile, Vermeulen up into 8th. Just a couple of seconds off the back of Was originally.
And this is a great move to Zed down the inside. What a move! The ultimate cutback, but now he's got to contend with the Mustang straight line speed, and he does have the inside for turn 11, and he's going to get his nose ahead by the time they get to the corner. But can he keep it on the island? Yes, he can.
Handley has the potential to be Marshall's best friend whilst his tyres try and get back to some kind of decent temperature, because they're looking really, really quick and looking really good, to be fair, in terms of how he's racing as well. Because yes, okay, he didn't manage to pass Handley there, but in terms of the wheel-to-wheel lack of contact, then he's done really well to keep that clean. So Marshall needs Handley to stay there for as long as possible, and the Mustang has been a bit belligerent, but I think it's going to do it here. Does that? No, not quite.
No, too far back.
No, he was having a look though, wasn't he?
Now, how much does this battle with the high traction, high powered cars that head of Vermeulen now, will this massively affect his chance of going after Sharp by the end?
He'll need to pick out cars one by one, but I mean, you've got Warza a couple of seconds back, and Vermeulen's catching Warza in the Bentley, so that'll be hard enough to pass on its own. Then you've got then effectively not a sort of GT3 slipstream train from third backwards, where they're all separated.
Oh,
by
Smets gets all over the grass and in the gravel. Now he needs to rejoin. And he does get back in front of Vermeulen, so that's Vermeulen looks for it. I think that was fairly not coordinated, but given by the time they found themselves side by side with Vermeulen going into turn 8.
Yeah, I think Smets could have tried harder there, but he's realised he's in the AM lead, so don't really want to be giving that away. But here comes Desire again, all over the back of Handley like a cheap suit. Around the outside we go again, and I think he's going to do it here. He certainly looks a lot more aggressive. No, not quite. I think if he'd have been a couple of metres shorter, I think he might have been able to hang it round. But where he goes, when you're 2 or 3 metres wide, you run onto the marbles there, and that's what takes you further on.
Always both get a bit of a rear snap, and then
Brace going off. Brace is off as well in the Porsche. It spins across the track. Is he going to be collected by anybody? No, he's just.
That is a fantastic collection.
Yeah, he did really well. Vermeulen's coming into the pits. Not Vermeulen, but there was a Ferraris. Someone was coming into the pits there. I think it was the lap car.
Yes,
yeah, the lap car there. That's Cherry Moore coming into the pits.
Now I can't help but notice that car 19, whoever that is holding one hell of a train here.
Serafino Gabino has got a train behind that goes back to Waits. I think Waits is the cold cork in the bottle, because Gabino there, having passed him, has just doubled the lead in the sector. So I think Waits is the man at the head of the snake.
I mean, he was holding up positions earlier on. He definitely showed he had pace, but incidents befell him, and now he finds himself leading a train of drivers that don't quite have the engine that Bentley has.
No, I think I must say we're just over halfway through the race, but I think Handley's doing a really good job in that rather hobbled Ford Mustang. He's got Desire all over him.
Oh, there's a touch.
Just give him a bump. But yeah, nothing doing there. No, not too much damage on the back there. But I think Handley's doing a really good job. Desire behind him equally doing well to not have an accident given the pace difference. But Handley in that Ford, he's not driving dangerously, he's not driving dirtily, and he can be really pleased with how he's handling this, and I think it's an excellent drive so far.
Now we can see the battle just behind as well. Vermeulen has got space in front, he's got the closeness to the back of Wazza. Let's see how this battle plays out, because this is key for Vermeulen's progress.
And Wazza won't just give this to him, but Vermeulen, will he give it to him? No, Vermeulen's got such an exit off the back, off of the final corner, that he's just going to breeze past him. It's like he's in
Is he going to get Desire as well? No, Desire turns in. Oh my goodness, how have they made space for each other there? How are they both still pointing in the same direction? That's amazing.
Yeah, Desire did really well there. It was a bit over-ambitious there, he won't mind me saying. Desire did really, really well there to avoid the contact and make sure that there was no double spinning there. But yeah, it was like Vermeulen was in a different class really towards there. I don't know if you saw it, but he just simply belched off the corner, and that was it for the Bentley. Bentley normally so strong under acceleration.
But then just carried speed and potentially a very, very confident low downforce setup. As you see, he's down the inside. Can Handley hold onto the position? He's been doing so well around the outside, holding speed. A little bit of a touch to the rear, but can he drive it into turn 10? No, he can't. Will Vermeulen pick this off as well? But no, Handley's come back. But he's now going to be on the outside where he doesn't want to be. Now tries to switch back to the inside. Can he be brave on the brakes? He's definitely going to try, but it's not going to play out for him.
No, good move from Zay. Let's get that done. But now he's got 9 seconds to catch on Marshall. Marshall, meanwhile, 5 seconds clear in the lead, but there's 9 seconds between Desire and Marshall. So I think Sharp is going to make good his escape here with Vermeulen now trying to pass Handley. Goes down the inside. Handley goes wide, does he? And they run into each other. But I think this is going to be relatively straightforward here. There for Vermeulen, goes down the inside.
Oh,
Handley,
he fights it all the way.
Fights it. But yeah, it's the inside, the shorter run, and I think that's it. Game, set, match to Vermeulen.
I won't be so sure.
Andy's still going, but no, he'll have that now. He'll have the drop. he'll have the drop on it, which is obviously.
He fought it to the absolute last inch of his car alongside Vermeulen.
Yeah, full credit. In a car that damaged as well, it's really impressive that he's able to not just run into the side. It shows it can be done. So yeah, props to him, because that's really impressive driving there from the pair of them. We did get the drop on him. Now he's got to go after Desert. Once he gets past Desert, or should he get past Desert, I should say, then it's about how quickly he can hunt down Marshall ahead. But for Sharp, meanwhile, 6 seconds, getting away from it, about second a lap over Marshall.
I've just picked up Colpitts, trying to overtake Townsend. He's chosen a very unorthodox place of turn 8 to mount his first move. Turn 9, not so bizarre, but now he's continuing to push Townsend wide on the corners. But now he's going to go wide for turn 10. Can he find traction in his BMW? He's going to have the inside going to turn 11.
Even though he's got good straight line speed, really good racing between the pair of them, but Colpitts really crafted that move, didn't he? Great move down the inside.
Oh, as with a car going off in the background.
Wonderwall, he's missed everybody.
Oh, it's a very, very sharp turn. Well, no.
I think he was trying to be a bit extreme in getting out of the way, as I think Vereth is now going for Townsend down the inside. He is. So, yeah, that's
oh, there's a touch around the final turn.
Yeah, I don't know why Townsend chose to turn into him there, although I suspect he might not have seen him. But, yeah.
As we have another Ferrari in the back there. Who is that?
They're three wide. It's Serpentine and it's Hymans. As I go down the inside, and Townsend there.
Serpentine goes wide. Serpentine loses multiple positions.
Serpentine between the Devil and the Deep Blue Sea. Let's say that he had Hymans on his inside. A bit of a repeat of Hyman's earlier move. Only Hyman's obviously ran the outside that time, but Hyman's down the inside, and Serpentine didn't really have anywhere to go. Townsend really unfortunate on that one. Certainly not his fault, but does at least get the position back off of Serpentine.
So Smet in the AN lead is currently defending from Colpitts. How hard will he fight this one? It's seemingly not too much.
I think it's Eden.
Eden, sorry.
No. But he's not defending too much, because he's got 10.5 seconds to go with about 10 laps to go. Because with the way, and look at actually how far Marshall's dropped off, and look at Desert and Vermeulen, they're both catching Marshall. But he didn't drop off, or he didn't defend too much, because he's got 10.5 seconds between himself and Colpitts, and Vereth is 2 seconds behind Colpitts. It's just been passed by Hyman. But yeah, that's why he's driving a sensible race, Vets, as he has done pretty much the whole race. Marshall's pitting.
Oh no!
I really don't understand this unless he's out of fuel. I really don't understand that from Marshall. Unless he's out of fuel, because he's going to get no payback off of the track, because it's still wet, so he's going to get no payback if he switches to dry tyres. That's bizarre. Unless he's out of fuel, that is bizarre.
So, is it Laurie in the comments? You were supporting him. If you could tell us what he's potentially saying as to why he's pitted, we'd much appreciate it in the comms box.
There, meanwhile, not exactly moving out of Vermeulen's way, is he? He's cost Vermeulen about a second in the first sector, and all this is doing is making a man just outside Leeds rather happy. The Yorkshireman Adam Sharp is just stroking his way around now, isn't he? He's got to make sure that he doesn't run into any traffic, or just got to make sure that he can negotiate that. There's 2 ahead, but Vermeulen finding it difficult to get past Stein Desert, and Desert doing really well in the lead of Silver, but also in second overall. Really good drive from him.
Yeah, I mean, it's absolutely fantastic drive. He's shown himself absolutely deserving of the position on track. And he has no reason to give this up, not now. I mean, why reduce the gap to Colpitts if you can help it?
I think Trotman's just got out of the way, so that's the first bit of traffic done and dusted for Sharp, so I'll keep an eye on that as time goes on.
Serpentine on Townsend for P12. This is not an interclass fight, but Townsend, if he's got any hope of catching Colpitts, he's going to get this one moved out of the way quickly.
Yeah, Flores has just gotten out of the way, I think, of Sharp as well, so it's just going to be then Chris Gebman to negotiate for the moment for Sharp, and then I think he'll be through the traffic, and actually it's been fairly easy for him.
I can't help but think that Marshall is going to put on dry tyres.
I think that's bizarre. There is no benefit to putting on, if that is the case, there is no benefit to putting on dry tyres when the track is still wet, even though it's clouded over, the rain's gone, but it's still just cloudy. The track is still wet as Vermeulen goes down the inside of Desert. They're side by side now through the tight, twisty complex to finish the second sector, but Desert still holding on. I think Vermeulen's going to try and run around the outside now. If Desert can get the traction early enough, he'll be able to block the run. He isn't able to block the run, and Vermeulen's now got an overlap going down the inside. This is pretty critical for Vermeulen's chances of taking the race lead. He goes down the inside now. They're side by side, but Desert's still there on the inside now. Again, if he can get the drop on him, and he can't, but there is contact. There is contact there, not pretty minor, and I think Desert has got out of the way. So Desert there realising that he's at fault, and I think Vermeulen there, the beneficiary of some fair driving in the end from Desert, who realised his mistake and has owned up to it.
I don't think that was the place to do it, though. Look how much was closed up on account of that. Oh no! In the background,
that's Handley. That's Handley.
The wall.
I think he's got the meatball flag. So one of the better places to do it, but yeah. So Desert, when he did let him go, well, he kicked the back end out a little bit. I don't think he meant to. And when you're on the outside, you're always vulnerable to that. You're always going to end up in the wall. But fairly low speed, so no damage done there. And I think Desert did the right thing once he realised that he had stuck him in the fence. So fair driving in the end from Desert, but only up to that mistake. And he's still got a pretty comfortable gap over Colpitts, who's next in class. It's 16.6 seconds now for Vermeulen to catch Adam Sharp. I don't think he's going to, especially with the traffic that he's still got to deal with, as Gedman has gotten out of the way of Sharp fairly comfortably there. So I think that might be the race done. But yeah, Marshall putting on tries. I don't understand that. I don't get it. If that is the case, and if it's a fuel issue, then I've probably seen it early enough. But yeah, there's no need to be putting on dry tyres there in that regard, especially with the track.
He was in relative clean air as well.
Yeah, it just seems a bit silly, to be honest, if you are going to put dry tyres on in these conditions, because all he's done is willfully risk. He would have been able to afford to pit the latest if there was any time to pit, because he was leading the class. It seems a bit silly to then come in for dry tyres when you're going to lose a minute, and then you're going to have to come through, wait for the track to cross over, because it hadn't at that point, and then come through the order. So, yeah, not the best of moves. I think with how long it is, though, I think he's on wets. I think he had just run out of fuel, because it's only 13th. So, what's that? It's about half a minute, I think.
And he's not really gaining on Townsend either.
Yeah, so I don't think I think it's a fuel thing. Unless he thought that you had to pit, despite the fact that everyone's all greened out, I don't know. But I don't think he's put dries on.
So we'll try and find out in the chat after the race exactly why, because what was turning out such a promising race for him, it's a shame to see it transpire like this. And he has just taken a chunk out of Townsend, but
yeah. We're now 15.5 seconds behind Sharp, so a second out of him per lap at the moment. Not going to be enough with, I would calculate, 4 laps to go, 4 or 5 laps to go.
No, I mean, unless Sharp has an absolute howler on one of the apexes.
Don't think you'll thank you for saying that, because it's happened to him before. But
I'll stay off him.
Should be fairly comfortable. It should be very comfortable for him. Marshall, yeah, just about to go racing against Vereth. So Vereth has dropped back behind Darren Townsend, so that's for position. I think he's busy flashing Vereth. Don't really understand him. Ah, dear. He's just clipped the back of Vereth, but they all survive there. So, yeah, Vereth's dropped back a couple of positions. I think he's gone off. That's given Townsend second in class. Has helped extend Spetz's AM lead. So, All coming up rosy for Smets, isn't it, at the moment?
I'm just catching up with Brush Tully, who's trying to make a move on Thacker here. Brush Tully, who made early advances, but ultimately, I think once the track settled in, just couldn't seem to slice through the pack to the same extent that Vermeulen and others could.
I think looking at the back of his car, I think he's had an adventure somewhere. There is a little bit of damage there, and I think as well with Alpha Dowie having a bumper like that, I think he's also had some. I think there's been plenty of dramas.
You think they had the same adventure?
Not going to say that because I don't know, but I think there's been plenty of dramas.
Two cars, similar bit of the track. One has a damaged bumper, one has a damaged front.
Viewers won't thank you. So is Vermeulen now just getting through the traffic? So I think car 84 is off, but I think he's.
Oh, as in the drama, we have missed Wazza going past Desert. It's not showing the timing screens yet, but you can see it in your picture there. Wazza has taken that position.
That may well have been.
Desert still leading his tier.
Yeah, I was going to say, Zem may well have realised that he could be risking a lot more than third place if he continued to try and dance with Wazza. Especially after collisions earlier on with Vermeulen, probably a battle you don't need to have. Vereth now fighting with Townsend once again.
I think Marshall will have the pace to get past Vereth here and potentially Serpentine, but I think the drivers he won't catch will be the ones that he really needs to, which is Serpentine and Colpitts.
We won't catch Colpitts unless Colpitts has a mare, because Serpentine is about 4 seconds.
As we catch him having a bit of a slapper.
Sideways. I don't understand the flashing either. I don't know whether or not, because he flashed after having a little half spin, so I don't know what he's doing there. But yeah, I think as well, yeah, having the pit for whatever reason is costing the silver win. But yeah, he might catch Serpentine if these two get out of his way relatively quickly. But yeah, Colpitts, it's not going to happen. 3.8 seconds up the road from Serpentine, it's not going to happen inside 3 laps.
No, so we are expecting more rain in the closing stages, but I don't think tyre temps will drop low enough to really become a skid risk. And it looks like this battle between Vereth and Townsend will very much block Marshall if he can catch up to it.
Yeah, I think it's about being sensible as well, because if you're racing in someone in your class, I know there's an overall championship, but just make sure that you don't trip over somebody. You're not racing for your class is what I would advise here. But Vereth and Townsend still going at it, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, they're fighting for P2 in class.
Yeah, so I think these two are going to fight it. It's just Marshall getting involved in things he needs to get involved in at the moment. I think they're struggling to put the power down in the Audi, isn't he?
Yeah, I'd say so. Or just being going a bit overboard going into the corners, which is then inducing a bit of oversteer.
Yeah, the Audi...
Oh, right, okay. So, we've just been updated by the comments. The flashing is not voluntary. He's actually having a mechanical problem, so he's flashing with the braking, which is a known fault in the game.
That makes sense. He's flashing as well coming out of corners under traction. So I wonder if that's a fault with the. Wonder if that's also part of the same fault.
So we'll keep an eye on that. As we catch Vereth taking a lot of the inside curb. He's given it absolutely everything in these final stages. He really wants the P2 in class. He has very much been stuck in this position for a long time. As Marshall joins the fight very, very abruptly. And depending on how this concludes in the middle sector, we might go up to Eden, who's pushing on with Grace for P4 in the Pro Championship.
I think the race lead is pretty much sewn up. Vermeulen hasn't made much of an inroad into Sharp's lead. I think Sharp now just moving over to cool his tyres. So 2 laps to go at the moment. He's just watched along with it 40 seconds to go, but it might well be. Is he got enough leeway?
I think we've just had a disconnection.
Where from?
I was following Vereth, and then it sent me to the pits.
Vereth is still...
He's still there.
Yeah, he's still there. He's still there. He's still in spots. 246. Yeah, I think it's a rather difficult day for the Welshman after earlier problems, I think, with his accident. So, yeah, there's a couple in there. Marcolino, Paolo Floris is also in there after a pretty difficult day for him. And Vates, the Bentley driver, is also in the pits there. So I think we've got another lap after this, because I think Sharp is going to cross the line before that clock ticks down. So another chance.
Catching Mendes, trying to catch Richings. He did show his nose going into the first turn, but it was a bit too far back. Eden isn't quite taking enough out of Grace to cover this off.
Yeah, no, I don't think there's going to be any issues there. Grace looked comfortable enough. The Porsche's got such good traction that the top end advantage that Lexus has is almost null and void, going towards the top end of the, or towards the sharp end of the straight as they get onto the brakes.
I'm loving this from Vera. It's absolutely wringing the neck of this Audi. He's giving it absolutely everything, and in there a bit too much. Definitely.
We were talking about giving it everything. We were on the final lap. Sharp could actually have slowed up and got to the line. Actually, well, Vermeulen got to the line after the clock had ticked to 0. So he has to make sure he keeps it pointing in the right direction, because Vermeulen, you don't want to lose it when you perhaps didn't need to.
Got a car there on the grass. It's 35th place. That's the last car.
Yeah, someone a little bit further back. Might be Miguel Silva. As Marshall is in the pits once again. So what's happened to the Frenchman? Because he's dropped back from what was 13th. He was fighting, wasn't he, with Vereth?
Oh, so we've got Mendes in the background. Finally looking for this move on Richings. He's a lot further alongside than was the previous lap. He's inching towards the inside. Gets his nose ahead. Brushley sends it as well. And there's a touch. And another one. Oh, as it looks like, it did look for a moment that Richings considered attacking the back of Bruce Tully there.
Bit of a touring car move that from Bruce Tully. I think you can expect to hear from stewards after that. Wasn't fully alongside in the braking zone for me, so I think Richings will be a bit annoyed by that. Because once you're down this side, it's an opportunistic move, but Richings is never going to see him going down there.
So just going to the winner of the race, Adam Sharp, but went up through the ranks, made the few positions he needed to make, and wins the reverse grid of race 2, 45 minutes non-stop. Very well deserved.
But excellent drive to recover as Brustilli goes down the inside. Does he have Mendes? No, but can Richings get some revenge? Brustilli does run him slightly wider coming out of the right-hander there, but the Porsche in no mood to be giving up positions easy with I think Mendes stuck behind Kelleher.
There's a lot going on at this middle part of the grid. A lot of late moves going to be thrown here, I think. That's Kelleher trying to make a move on Gibino. Gibino, who's dropped way back from Vereth ahead. We could potentially have 2, 3, 4 wide going across the line here. Just depends how they want to figure it out. Does it like Mendes had a better run than Kelleher, but Kelleher then switches across the track. What can Mendes do? He switches one way then the other. A dramatic end to that one there.
So with that, we missed obviously that Desire had crossed the line to win silver by more than a nose. I think it's fair to say, with Colpitts and Safontaine making up the podium there. Great racing all round at the end, wasn't it? There was a little bit of beating and banging between some drivers, and that will of course be picked up as and where it needs to. But yes, really good driving there in testing conditions. Gordon Brown with looking a bit dog-eared in the Lamborghini, isn't he?
And for P26, coming around the final bend, we've got Kruger chasing Coppens. Will damage play a factor in this? Oh, as they get a car blocking the way as they come towards the line.
Silver. It's Silver. I think he might either be out of fuel, or is it Silver? No, it's the McLaren of Kalugin. It might well have been. Yeah, it's Kalugin. So yeah,
And those are our main finishes, everybody. What a race!
Shell.
We had a bit of everything. It went wet, then dry, then wet all over again. So 2 perfectly mixed races there. So fantastic jobs by the admins there, creating an absolute spectacle with the weather. And we wait to give you the highlights, because that is something to absolutely relish in. So there you have it. Sharp did beat Vermeulen in the end. Vermeulen with a last a second drive, and then Wazza with a great move on Desert towards the end. Long and hard fought. Wazza, the podium bouncer, I often like to call him, in P3. Desert with a commanding win of the silver tier in P4. And Grayson Eden outside the podium for the pro tier. And Smets with a commanding win for the AM tier. Great job to him. He was really mixing it with the big guns at the front for quite a long time. We have Wouter Heymans in P8, Colpitts and Serpentine with the podium for the silver tier, 2nd and 3rd. And then Townsend and Vireth. Let me just get that back. Townsend and Vireth round out the podium for the AM tier. Gibino, Kelleher, Mendez. Very reputable positions there. Brush Tully didn't quite make the progress he did in the previous race. Finished P16, Richings P17, Popasil. I think, did he get caught up in an incident? Did I remember that rightly?
He did, yeah, a little bit earlier on. He did certainly have some troubles. I think anybody who's sort of south of about 15th got caught up in something at least.
Yeah. So yeah, there's all your ones, as you would put it, got caught up in strife. But I think while we're waiting on that, maybe let's consider a few drivers of the day. So for the AM tier, I think
probably Spets for Spets' second race was excellent, but for me, if I look past Vireth, I thought is driving across both races. It's been a bit of a feature for Vireth. He climbed all the way up from towards the back in race number 1, and got himself into a good position for AM. And then again, getting into 3rd position, I think Vireth for me is the driver of the day for the AM class.
For the AM class, we'll lock that one in. And we've got the silver.
Again, tough one this, but I would probably go for Ser's race 2 was excellent for me.
It truly was. Only at the absolute last breath did he give up those positions to the drivers of a tier above him. So yeah, I think it's a bit cliche to give it to Desert, another winner of a tier, but well, no, you chose Vireth in the last one, didn't you? So Vireth and Desert there, and for the pro tier,
there is only one person really that stands out, and unfortunately, it's the same name, isn't it? It's probably Vermeulen there, who is. I mean, look, he won the race to begin with, and then he came second, having started from the back. So how can you not really give it to him? For, I mean, you could say that Sharp was in position to take a sort of top 5 before he got buffeted in the final corner in the first race. But I would say that it's probably then Vermeulen. I would suggest is probably the only person that you can really suggest.
Yep. So we'll put that written down somewhere. Vireth, Desert, and Vermeulen are our drivers of the day. Those will go into a poll in the Discord for the fellow drivers to vote on blindly, and we will we'll get a result for an overall driver of the day. As one of those drivers of the day joins us in the chat, Mr. Jazzman Vermeulen.
Yeah, how's it? How's everybody doing?
Yeah, it's good. It's an exciting one. You didn't have it all your own way this evening coming through the pack.
No, but around here, it's always going to be difficult to pass. So I was hoping to be top 5, so I'm very happy to get P2. This track's not easy to overtake, so tricky conditions as well. A lot going on lap 1. A couple of near misses with guys, crashes a couple of cars in front of us. So I'll take it. There were 2 scary moments with cars who've crashed, and I just missed it. So I'll take a P2.
Yes, obviously we were in high praise of your turn 1 considerations with seeing Brushley get such a great start on his wet tyres, we presume, and
Yeah,
then you
no,
just
no,
sensibly choosing the inside.
Yeah, yeah. I thought I knew after the fourth corner. Okay, he's on wets. So when he popped his nose in a couple of corners later, I just let him have it because there's no point defending the guy on wets when you want dry.
Oh my goodness! We're just watching the start for race 1. There was a lot going on at the start there at the back that we didn't quite pick up on the stream.
Yeah, no, it would be. I think a lot of guys went with dries to some wet, so there was a bit of pace difference. Yeah, but I thought when he pulled away 2 seconds in a lap and a half from me, I thought maybe I made the wrong decision. But from lap 3, I managed to peg the gap at 2.4, and then by lap 5, I started gaining like 5 tenths, and then once we got to like 13 minutes, I knew that I made the right choice, and then I was sitting patient. There's nothing he could do on wets, just like I was at the start.
So in that position, are you consciously waiting for the easy move, or?
So what I was doing there, I mean, once he overtook me, I saw him the next lap going onto the wet, so I knew, okay, he's on wet. So that just made me be able to just drive with him myself, and then, yeah, once I started catching him, I knew it was just a matter of time when I'd overtake him. You know, there's nothing you can do when the track is drying up and you're on wet and the dude's dry. So I knew my opportunity would come. Just defended wet. So I think I got him at like the 9-minute mark, which was nice. Then I could just relax and then take a nice win for round 1, which was nice. So, you know, it's still a bit nerve-wracking. You know, like I know this game well, so I was like, I'm 90% sure tries it the correct way. You never know sometimes, right?
No, you never do.
So,
no.
You never do know, yeah. So yeah, I was happy it worked out.
Yeah, so it's always good to see you coming through. You always put on a show. And also you did get one of our 3 submissions for Drive of the Day. We've also put in Desire.
Yes,
And we've also put in Vereth.
Yeah, I saw. I think that was that last Ferrari guy, that silver guy. He put up quite a battle, which was because I knew by then the lead was gone, like 18 seconds out on the road. So it was a good battle, and yeah, we had a little coming together, but then he led me back. So.
Yeah, we felt bad for him because we recognised the sportsmanship, obviously immediately, but then ultimately it compromised him to Wazza behind the fact that he let off in that particular position.
Yeah, I think he just was like, because he gave me quite a hit there when there was enough room for the both of us. I think he just, and also I think because he knows I'm in pro, he's silver. I think he was like, okay, let me not, you know, ruin my own race here. Let me just. That's maybe, you know, we got close a couple of times, so maybe I think he just thought, it's better to let him go. And if I lose a position to Wazza, I think that also doesn't really matter for him because it's his class.
Yeah, I think he was very, very happy about that. And yeah, I mean, aside from that, we didn't cover too much of the early part of your race. Obviously, you did come through what we've just seen at the start. We've been asked to save judgment on laying out blame, but I do have a driver in mind who I think I would blame for the opening lap incident. How tricky was that to come through? It looked a good handful of cars sideways.
Yeah, like I said, there were 2 moments where there were just cars, you know, they're on like one side of the track and the other, and you just got to like. And you're also battling with other people, so then you just got to pick that side and just look. Like I said, I had 2 close calls with that. You know, you just pick a side and you hope for the best. And like I said, I just missed both of them. But you know, here in these conditions in the wet, there's always going to be 1 or 2 interesting incidents that then lead to a mass incident.
And obviously, taking you to another sort of pivot point of the race, you did have a short period of dry running, or at least greasy running. How was your management through there? Did you manage to set your tyres up in a way that you weren't too badly affected, or did you really have to turn the smarts on and manage?
No, I managed to. I kind of just went in the middle of what the pressures were. So I was never quite in the window on either or. So I was just a bit over when it stopped raining at 31.3 at the highest. And then when it was obviously raining heavy, I was about 29.3. So I just gave myself a window, an operating window. So I didn't really need to do too much, but I think you watch on stream, I do, on every straight try to time.
Okay. Yeah, so there you have everybody. Obviously, if you want to watch the stream back, obviously feel free. Plenty of entertainment aside from just your own antics, which you do cover every single week. And yeah, we'll leave the ladies and gentlemen of the evening who watched to watch any replays and enjoy anything on playback. And we'll round out the night. Thank you very much for joining us this evening, Jared.
Yeah, thank you guys, and I'll see you guys next week.
Paul Ricard, we'll see you there.
Cheers, guys. Thank you again. I'll chat to you soon. Bye.
Right.
Yeah.
So there you are. You had your obviously largest point scorer of the evening, Jared Vermeulen, otherwise known as Jazzman. As the highlights loop, obviously you'll see this crash once again. We'll leave the audience and the stewards to make their own judgments, and we'll see everybody in Paul Ricard for the same format. With a 50-minute one-shot quali, a 20-minute sprint race, a reversed 45-minute sprint race with no pit stops. You saw the carnage and the equipment required to come through that tonight. And thank you everybody for joining us. Obviously, continue to subscribe to us, hit the notification bell, make sure you don't miss anything. Do reach out to us if you do want to get involved in anything that we do here, whether it be Assetto Corsa, Assetto Corsa Competizione, iRacing, GT7, Formula 1, and obviously there's a whole slate of new sim racing games on the horizon that FRL will definitely sink their teeth into. If you are sat here as a FRL long hauler, do consider obviously signing up to the Patreon or advancing your Patreon subscription. It really helps everything we do here. Make sure you have commentary and the servers stay live. And obviously you get all those fancy perks I mentioned earlier as well. And yeah, we'll see you all on the next one. Have a good night. Bye.
We need.